Okay, so the non-style start. This is a 25-minute race. Pit window will be open from 8 minutes in to 16 minutes in. That's 16, not 17 or 18 if you want to avoid penalties.
There were penalties for that yesterday.
There were. So
now then, this is really important. The VIP riders are holding the bikes. Obviously, the AM riders have got to run across the track. 25 minutes, as Martin has just said. This is really important. When the flag comes up, these guys have got to run across. The VIP riders are holding the bikes are running, and any of the riders that are sitting on the bikes, there are some that can't run across, they've got to have it out of gear and with their hand in the air. So we'll wait and see whether there are any of those guys with their hands in the air. Look at this, knees are knocking then, time to go. There goes the minute board. When this flag is waved, they run across. Here we go then, the flag is up, the Union Jack is up, the Union flag has gone. Run across, get it in gear, don't stall it. That's a big problem if you do. The 55 bike gets away well in second place, and that was yesterday's quick Michael Rutter bike that finished really, really well in second place in the end.
George Thomas leading on pole and leading away on the matchless at one yesterday, but he didn't really sprint across the track, and it looked like he was just taking his time to make sure that he was ready to go. He was ready to go, dropped back a couple of spots down to third place as they sweep through Madrid for the first time. Still in second, Ben Kingham.
Look at this though, straight away Ben Kingham gets in. That big HRD Vincent, it's a massive motorcycle, got big torque on it, but it's got hardly any brakes, and the way the front forks work on that is a bit unique as well. And looking for the blast up the inside, it's the 17 machine of Thomas. That's George Thomas who started this race, and he's partnered of course with James Hillier.
And look how different the riding style is. Our race leader Ben Kingham looks like he's on the dirt. He looks like he's a motocrosser or some kind. You know, his elbows out, he's sitting very upright, whereas George Thomas on the matchless right behind, tucked down and looks like your classic motorcycle racing profile. Now the two Michaels, Russell and Rutter, had a great race yesterday with that Vincent Black Shadow, pulling each other along and geeing each other up on the straight, and they're in the frame as well.
Well, there's a little bit of messing about going, of course. This is, I think Jenny Timber summed it up very well when she was talking to our guys in presentation a bit earlier on, because she said it's difficult because it's a fun event, but then it's not. When you get out on the bikes, you want to be going as quick as you can.
Listen, hang on, there's a problem. Bike, you've got to be dead serious. Yeah, problem for 68. That's the Michael Rutter, Michael Russell bike. Russell starting, but up to third has gone number 12. That's Steve Brogan, Ian Bain rather, who shares with Steve Brogan on the Norton International.
Ian Bain's already having a great idea, because fourth in the Setringen Cup was his son. So in the kids race a little bit early on, Ian Bain's son has just got himself near to the podium.
And he finished on the podium in the first Setringen Cup race as well. So Bain and Brogan finished fifth yesterday, but that Norton Dominator up to third already as the leaders charge away. Ben Kingham leading George Thomas, 55 from 17. They were third and first respectively yesterday. The second place 68 Velocet just a fraction further back in fourth spot. You just saw it get passed by the Norton International.
Absolutely brilliant. So then, he's a big lad, the man in second place on the 55 machine. Ben Kingham, they had a penalty of 10 seconds. That dropped him to third place yesterday. Russell and Rutter were promoted up into second place. But that big HRD Vincent has got some grunt. Now, out front there is the 38 bike. That will be Levi Day and the Bradley Smith pairing. Levi Day started first yesterday and today as well.
Well, they are a lap back, I think. So they must have had a very slow start, because our race leader is definitely Ben Kingham, 55.
We might have an incident that's around the track at the moment. Yes, it is the number 4 of Lee Johnston and Pierce, who was alongside him as well. That's Nick Pierce.
The Manx Norton.
So Nick Pierce is okay. He's been put to the other side of the barrier, and Nick Pierce, they won't be taking any further part in that. So no bike swap for him. He can enjoy the sunshine. Yeah.
Or is that the lead, James? Is that the bike?
No, that's the 38 bike of Levi Day that's in amongst them now. He got a bad start, so Bradley Smith, Levi Day are the pairing for that, and he's absolutely getting blown into the weeds as they get onto the straight here. It is still the 17 machine, the winner from yesterday, the Hillier and Thomas machinery on the Maxus G80 CS. The 1954 Matchy is just a bit outstanding for me. There's the number 6 bike, Parrish yesterday. Steve Parrish, of course, the legendary joker. But in between jokes, he's actually quite fast on a motorbike as well. And in this case, I think the Parrish...
That's Barry Burrell who's riding the machine.
Barry Burrell will be back. That's the Manx Norton, the 53 Manx Norton that they're out on.
Yeah, he's just ahead of bike number 7 with the red plate, and that is Duncan Fitchett, who shares with Jeremy McWilliams.
And had a good ride yesterday, that pairing as well. They were right up there. They finished 4th overall in the end and didn't pick up any penalties, which surprised me for McWilliams.
How close this is at the front of the field. like everything else, whether it's on 2 wheels or 4, the racing is very close indeed.
Right up the inside there.
Michael Russell takes the lead.
Michael Russell,
confidence, isn't he?
I said it yesterday, Michael Russell is at home in this class of racing. He's very, very fast on classic motorcycles. Michael Russell, I was slightly surprised that he didn't have the late race performance yesterday, but he certainly got the early race performance now.
Well, we heard earlier on that some of the teams are looking at carburettor jetting and so on, you know, maybe even thinking about a change of needle because it's a little cooler today than it was yesterday. Maybe yesterday was significantly different enough from practice that actually the performance wasn't quite there. And it's only when you really get up to the top of the rev range that you're going to find that it's either too rich or too lean and it's not running the way it should.
Now watch, he's making a load of adjustments while he's riding the Velocet MSS. Now that's
I thought he was just massaging a tank. Come on, baby. Come on, baby.
Well, it might be because it's not that fast on the fast parts of the course. I think the two following him, as soon as we get on the outer Levant down towards Woodcote, it just looks like they're swallowing him up a little bit down there. We'll wait and see again on this lap. Look at the front end of that HR. That Vincent is pretty trick. It's got a big torquey motor in it, but it's got virtually no brakes at all. Luckily, it's got lots of engine braking. No brakes at all, and the forks on it are just incredible. And again, look at that. The 68 bike just gets swallowed on the fast stuff by the 17 machine, the Maxus G80 of Hillier and Thomas, who's riding it now.
Yeah, but James Hillier got his nose briefly, George Thomas got his nose briefly in front, number 17 with the yellow plate, and then dropped back. The two Michaels, Russell and Rutter, have had a lot of races together here at Goodwood. They're a really successful combination, never far from the podium. Finished runners-up yesterday after a fantastic tussle for second and third.
Well, let's talk about the aggregate, because we are aggregating these two races from yesterday's part 1 and this one part 2, the best aggregate time, and Hillier and Thomas as a pairing have a 13-second lead coming into this race.
Well, right now, the top 3 were the top 3 yesterday, but you're right about the lead, and so you've got the owner riders who probably spend quite a lot of their lives regularly racing these machines against each other, so they know each other, they know their own bikes intimately. Then you hand them over to the pros, some of whom, like Jeremy Williams, will ride this bike once a year, tops.
Well, I can tell you.
And so then you'll see maybe the performances will be slightly different.
Steve Plater will be riding his bike for the first time this weekend. It's a completely different bike today than it was yesterday or through practice. So Steve Plater, when he gets out there a little bit later on, he's going to be riding a motorcycle he's never even seen before. He will only just have sat on it.
So back in front goes George Thomas, number 17. Still Michael Russell behind him, and Ben Kingham is right there. Lots of other battles going on, but away behind them, 4th place is the Brogan Bain bike. So Steve Brogan, number 12, the Norton International, looks so quick early on. And then the bike that Eugene Laverty is waiting to take over, that's the number 11 supercharged BMW. That's in 5th place, the German rider Herbert Schwab with that bike. And you can see all these bikes we're looking at, all 3 of the leaders, they've got front forks, yes, they've got rear forks as well, so rear dampers as well. They've got suspension on the rear. The BMW has a solid mounted rear axle. It's just bolted through the frame. There is no suspension at all. It is the most evil thing you'll see at Goodwood.
Derek Bunning has got a bit of a smoky bike. Then the 51 bike is just pulling to one side behind, so that means Ian Duffus won't get a go, the Scotsman. Look at this round the outside. If you look at that Norton as well, I mentioned the front suspension, but the rear suspension is a monoshock suspension. To see something like that as early as that motorcycle was made, most bikes are monoshock nowadays, so it's quite an interesting bike all round, but it still hasn't got any brakes, and that would worry me slightly.
Well, again, you know, your perfect dirt tracker, really. It just
all rear brake and no front.
Exactly. Kenny Roberts would probably love the living daylights out of that bike.
He could ride a Garden Gate. Kenny Roberts Senior we're talking about. 1:34.178 is the fastest lap by Michael Russell at the moment. That compares with the 1:30.447 done by Josh Brooks yesterday. So quite a long way for the AMs to catch up with the pros.
And that was on that last lap, and that was where he was going around Ben Kingham. Ben Kingham now comes steaming by, and followed in him as well is George Thomas.
Indication there of how difficult that bike is to ride at the front end for the man in second place at this moment in time, Ben Kingham, because that big Vincent is just a little difficult on the brakes, but as soon as we get on the fast stuff, it's got some grunt.
Vincent Black Shadow, the superbike of its era, no question at all.
Beautiful motorcycle. That is one. If you don't see any other or sit on any other here in the paddock here at Goodwood, that'll be the one to be seen on. 15 minutes and 50 seconds to go of this race, and that must mean that we're getting close to the window of opportunity. We'll be keeping an eye on that. Somebody got penalised yesterday. I think it was the 11 and 18 machines yesterday, which was Eugene Laverty, and 18 was Hutchinson coming in.
Pit window was open at 17 minutes to go, so that was a lap ago, perhaps just before they got to the pit entry. It was still closed. Now it should say pit lane open. Who goes in first?
You'd want to go in as soon as you can, really, and let your pro rider go for it. Yes, that's a clever move. So the
George Thomas
comes in really, really early. So it will be James Hillier, the fastest man, right up until Josh Brooks went even quick. Look how gently he's coming down. It's 20 mile an hour pit lane speed limit, and that makes a big difference. Here is James Hillier waiting to get in on the Rich Energy OMG leathers. Holds the clutch, make sure he doesn't stall it, because that could be a problem. A smooth changeover as we go into the bottom 15 minutes time-wise.
Somebody there encouraging him to slow down, not leave the pits too quickly.
Man with the speed gun was keeping an eye on him. That was a very smart move, getting him in as early as you could, because he has the pace. The AM rider knows what he was doing. He was doing a great job, but it's going to be the pro rider that is surely going to be the quickest out on track, and that might be the race-winning move. Well,
they were the winners yesterday, weren't they? And they have come in as early as humanly possible, put James Hillier back on board. He started the race yesterday.
One of the points worth mentioning, Martin, and you've already been there with this, these guys don't ride these bikes as a rule, which means over-revving them or overusing them, sometimes the whole thing departs company.
Well, the chances are, in this race, the pro rider gets a much better bike from the owner than he gave the owner.
Good point. Very good point indeed. These are the leaders on the track still going for it, hammer and tong, the 55 and the 68. But it is now the 17 we watch to see if he's going to be able to grab any advantage from where he is. I think he will. Will they come in this lap?
Well, there was
come in this lap?
Another
Yes,
couple of riders changed.
No, they don't.
No. Brogan handed over to Bain, so Ian Bain now aboard the number 12 machine, so he's changed. Hutchie is on number 18, so Ian Hutchinson. Jeremy McWilliams on the number 7 machine, so that is the 4th of the bikes that has stopped.
Ben Kingham has just indicated to his pitboard holder that he's coming in next time. I think they were waving him in, so the 55 of Ben Kingham, the man leading this race at this moment in time on the Vincent here, right on shot. 13 minutes and a few seconds to go. You remember how close some of them judged it yesterday, Martin?
And the number 45 Max Norton out of the pits as well, and that has got its star aboard, John McGuinness. So if you're looking for the 45 Norton, it's got Supermac on board. But you're right, Brooks and King, Russell and Rutter. Now, they're leading now, but will they still be in the top 3 at the end of this one? There is the lead bike that has changed. He only dropped down to 6th position.
Yeah,
and
pretty impressive, isn't it?
2 purple sectors on the first flying lap for James Hillier. He can ride a bike, that boy.
No, James Hillier is a useful man. There's no doubt about it. Rides for the Rich Energy Yamaha team in British Superbikes, and he's looking pretty good here as well, isn't he? Interestingly to see that Ian Burrell, he's having a good day. 4th place at the moment, waiting to hand over to Steve Parrish. But Ian Burrell, 4th place, his son came in the Section Cup just before this. You were, I think, he was commentating on that. Ben Edwards, wasn't he? Here we go, leg out. That means he's coming in this time around. Will the 68 follow him in? When you stick your leg out like that, it's a motorcycle indication you're coming in. It's not just the doctor's dangle. Oh, that was close run. So he's going to do an extra lap then and lead the race. But it is the 55 machine that will come in now and hand over to Josh Brooks. The Australian was very, very fast. Not having a great year in British Superbikes this year at the moment on the Ducati, the Paul Bird Motorsport Ducati, but this time he's going to be looking. There's a bit crowded down there, but you do have to go really steady or you pick up a 10-second penalty.
You really, really do. James Hillier absolutely flying. Purple sector 1, top speed on the track. Purple sector 2. Blinding stuff from Hillier.
Just saw Michael Rutter standing by this side there looking a little bit, maybe he's trying to sell books. Michael Rutter's got his Mark II book out at the moment as well. It's mainly about his dad Tony, who was a famous TT racer and short circuit runner in Grand Prix back in the day. Keep an eye out for that. If you see Michael, he's always got a load of books under his arm ready to sell if he can. So here we go then. That's getting a little tight. So
James Hillier,
has he got a problem? Has he got a problem?
Laverty behind him. You can see he's aboard the supercharged 57 BMW R57. There is the bike that was in 2nd place. Now with Josh Brooks aboard.
That's the 17.
Yeah, there he is with the yellow plate and the bright pink helmet with the.
I'm a little concerned about the 17 of Hillier.
I wonder if he's had just a bit of a moment in traffic. Right behind him is the bike that is currently 6th. So that's the Burrell and Parish machine. Has not yet stopped. So
That's correct.
Stavros waiting in the pit lane. So he's just put a lap. No, he's just...
He's coming out with them.
Well, he's past them. So he's now gone past the bike that is 2nd on the road.
It surprised me that
He's now in 2nd overall, and they've yet to stop.
It surprised me it took him so long to get going. Still the smoky 51 comes in. It's now Ian Duffus on that. You can see the Saltaire on his helmet, the Scottish flag on his helmet. So Ian Duffus has now taken over from Derek. But a little worry for a moment for me, and maybe some side. Whoa, hang on a minute. That was a Brookney bit, if you remember them so well, coming through the chicane there for the man on the 17 machine of James Hillier. Meanwhile, there's the change. Oh, and he's had to get out of that. That's so dangerous when you've got. They've got to get down to the speed limit in pit lane, and when you've got a fast rider coming through the chicane, it's so easy to tag the man that's slowing for pits.
Yeah, that BMW, that's Sebastian Gutsch coming in to hand over to Maria Costello, and that bike coming in from what was 3rd place, but they had yet to stop. So now Steve Hillier leads from Michael Rutter. They're the 1-2. The gap between them under a 2nd at the line. There is Hillier.
Yeah, and he's just put in the fastest lap. 1:31.7 now from Hillier, and that's the kind of performance you would expect. The fastest lap in the AMS was 1:34. It's now down to 1:31.7. Still a long way off of Josh Brooks' time of 1:30.447 yesterday. So keep an eye on who's going to take the Mick Hemmings Fastest Lap Award later in this session.
Well, I wonder if there's one for each race, because of course they'll be in different conditions. One could be wet, one could be dry.
When you've got aggregates involved, maybe it's an aggregate fastest lap. There you go, I'm giving you that for you to go for.
Listen, I don't need to be trying to do any mental arithmetic. It's hard enough keeping up with the excitement here. Come on, giddy up, baby, giddy up.
It's usually an indication to get tagged into my slipstream, and we'll try and make fast laps together. Or it could be giddy up. I have the suspicion it's to mention to another rider, don't take my line, let's try and make some fast times together. Right. No one ever takes any notice of it.
There's your race leader.
Looking neat and tidy.
And the timing screen is still saying that Rutter rather, is 0.8 of a second behind him. Well, there is Michael Rutter,
yes,
and it wasn't 0.8 the last time we looked, and it's still not 0.8 of a second.
3.4 it is now.
That's more like it.
Michael Rutter is a long way. This is Michael Rutter. He's riding in the 145th anniversary Batham's outfit. They've done it especially for him, Alpine Stars, with the Queen's Jubilee as a celebration. Oh, that does look
come on,
well.
Come on, helmet spotters. I can't tell who that is, I'm afraid.
No, neither can I from that distance.
It's not one of our lead group.
1:30.9 now from Brooks. 1:30.9. So the fastest man yesterday. That's the 38 bike. It is Bradley Smith. That's
Bradley Smith. Okay, so Bradley Smith
is out. 1:30.9 now for Brooks. 1:30.4 yesterday. So he's half a second off his quickest time. He's chasing these guys at the front. Brooks is fast. He's moved up into 3rd place now overall.
Fastest race lap from Josh Brooks of anybody, 1:30.9. So he is trying to close the gap. He's coming up hard behind Michael Rutter. There he is, 55. Never mind hard behind. He's gone straight by Michael Rutter like he was standing still.
He's got to get in front of Hillier. He can see him because 17 is Hillier, 55 is Brooks. Then it is Rutter on 68. So that fastest lap is closing him down. It's a question of how much he can do. What's the fastest Hillier's done? 31.7. So he's nearly a second faster than Hillier. Brooks, I'm talking about. He can catch Hillier, but he's got to be more than 13 seconds in front of him
win overall.
To win overall in the aggregate. So we're trying to work it out as we go, folks, as I'm sure you are.
Well, 7 minutes. He's got to A, catch Hillier, and B, put 13, well, nearly 14 seconds over him.
It won't happen.
It ain't happening unless Hillier has a problem. Of course, if you then have a problem and slow, then suddenly all those gaps get wiped out. But James Hillier right now, head down on the tank, flying out of Magic up toward Ford Water, goes by another of our lap.
Bill Swallow is out there as well. He was the pro rider out of the two, and Bill Swallow, he should have been out on that bike by now. Meanwhile, it's still Hillier, Thomas, Brooks, Kingham, Russell Rutter, Burrell and Parish. Parish is having a right old go. Thank heavens when he stops joking and messing around. Parish is actually quite a fast motorbike racer.
Yeah, he didn't get to be a quick rider by accident. Michael Rutter's just set that bike's fastest lap of the race, 68 machine in third place, the bike that finished second yesterday, that Velocet.
You know,
that was after a couple of penalties, though.
You know, Martin, how we talk about how quick the car drivers are. There's such a lot of very good quality car drivers. Well, there's a few of those motorcycle men here to match that as well in this Barry Sheene Memorial race.
We've got the battle going on between Josh Brooks and Michael Rutter that we saw yesterday, where they were sort of pulling each other up, grabbing each other's leathers and just sort of pushing their rivals back with some really absolutely fantastic close racing between these two. And whatever the aggregate says, again, it's going to be these three bikes that are the dominant forces in the 2022 Barry Sheene Memorial Trophy.
Pro racers hate aggregate races. You want to win and get across the line under the flag, and I've got a feeling that Hillier will want to do that. I'm looking to see who's got the fastest lap this time round. Hillier's lead is 1.8 seconds over Brooks, so it's come down, but I just underline, he's got to be in front of him. Brooks has got to be in front of Hillier by over 13 seconds. Oh, hang on, what's this? Well, Parrish isn't out there yet, so this is going to be a penalty.
5 minutes late into the pit lane, where they were supposed to come in with 9 minutes left.
That'll be while they were fourth on the road. I thought Parrish was riding very quick. It wasn't the case at all. It was that Burrell went out for a long time. So Parrish then will be too late. They'll be getting a penalty there. And the number 2 bike comes back out as well. Now he's very late. That's the Glenn English. Glenn English will be on that now. So Glenn English has got out there. They will be picking up penalties. They will not be taking any major places at the front of this field.
Here's the battle for the lead then. James Hillier right ahead of Josh Brooks, right ahead of Josh Brooks. I mean, Josh has pulled in a 2-second margin. It's now down to 0.2 of a second. And Hillier had long looks over his shoulder last time down here. Josh Brooks was way back.
Look who they've just overtaken, a legend of Grand Prix and TT, Mick Grant, nearly 80 years old and still fast. He's on the number 10 bike. Mick Grant is an absolute superstar for anybody around there in the terraces.
There's going to be a change for the lead or two coming up here. That Vincent is absolutely electrifying in a straight line. James Hillier might make pretty much the same lap time overall, but it makes it in a very different way, the matchless. So he guns the machine out of the chicane, but as soon as he gets...
Brooksy, 1:31.9 compared with the 33.1 of Hillier. It's still not going to be enough with only just under 4 minutes to go before we see the checkered flag. But what exciting racing we're getting yet again from the Barry Sheene Memorial.
Look, coming in, Josh Brooks and his riding partner Ben Kingham on that 55 machine, they knew with a 13-second disadvantage, unless something happened to the matchless, they weren't going to win on aggregate. We've got a faller at the chicane.
That's Jenny Titmuth, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Jenny Titmuth that's gone down. Jenny, she's just a wonderful person, Jenny Titmuth, on the 25 machine. So that Rudge has gone down the road.
That is in Woodcote, I think. So that's right at the end of the lap. But again,
she told me earlier on today that the front end on that bike, you've got a completely different style to be able to ride the thing, because it just gets away from you, and obviously it has done.
Black Shadow has gone through an 80-second penalty for the number 6 machine for stopping outside.
He deserves every one of them, is all I can say.
Well, that's one for every year of his life, obviously.
Maybe he'd only just woken up. He was having his siesta.
Getting his full speed in. Here's where the lead changed on the inside. Look at the 55, Vincent Black Shadow.
Wow. No, he's taken advantage of back markers as well. So that is just a bit spectacular there. And that's what I'm saying about pro riders. That had been an AM rider, they'd have been just a little reticent there. But the pro riders just stick it straight through.
James Hillier had to go the long way around the outside. Michael Rutter went underneath the slower bikes as well, and he got right in the frame, but has he got by them? No, they've dropped him again, so he's got caught somewhere else.
Look at who he's coming up against now. Ian Simpson, another Scot now. Ian Simpson is a fast motorcycle racer, and he's about to be zapped. So Simo, unfortunately, is not on a particularly fast motorcycle. The 32 machine, then it's a Triumph T110, and the Tiger 110 is a good motorbike, but sort of outclassed by some of these. Is that Rutter coming down the pit lane? It is.
I was just thinking exactly that. It is Michael Rutter, so out of third place. So suddenly, that's Bain and Brogan in with a podium shot and a big
that's the 14 machine, the Triton Thunderbird of Billy McConnell. That'll be on that. The Skippy McConnell, the Australian rider, is out. If it's got any oil on the rear wheel, we'll be seeing flags early. We've got 1 minute and 45 seconds to go now.
To go after this. So this is all about the win. This is not about the aggregates. Our leaders, our winners yesterday on the number 17 matchless, far too far ahead unless they had a major problem
in aggregate
for anybody to overhaul them on aggregate. So this is about winning this race. Josh Brooks 55, James Hillier 17.
Yes, that's what we like to see. Behind them is Ian Simpson. He's a lap rider now, unfortunately for Simo. as some of the back markers come into view. We're going to catch them on this last lap because there's a big disparity in the motorcycle delivery of power, we'll say. It's the bikes that are so different, the riders. Look at this, knee down Hillier, give it some. James Hillier then, he'll want to be finishing first on the track as well as first over aggregate.
So he's now trying to figure out how to get by a bike that is quicker in a straight line. Now look at the way he comes out of the chicane though. The low speed pickup for the matchless is much better, but
mid-range grunt is much better on the HRD Vincent. Is so much better. So the 55 machine is actually not an HRD, it's a Black Shadow, of course. So the 1954 Black Shadow is leading the aggregate winner. Will he win this race? Will he win this leg of the Barry Sheene Memorial Trophy? Here comes Hillier looking for the outside. He's getting up to Tommy Hill, I think.
Yeah, Tommy Hill was looking down. I was really hopeful that he would be looking up by the time that they got to him, and he was.
Number 5, Tommy Hill, a man that had a massive race with John Hopkins in the final BSB round and then retired back in the day at Brantac. You'll remember that. It was a huge race for everybody on the terraces. Yellow flag being waved. You mustn't pass under a waved yellow.
Well, I don't think there's a pass up here for James Hillier. His last chance is going to be out of Woodcote down to the chicane. The Vincent Black Shadow has got all of the grunt it needs to pull away down the straight.
Indeed, and the flag is already ready here for them. We're out of time. 25 minutes have done of the second leg of the Barry Sheene Memorial Trophy. The 55 is surely going to take this. Brooks is going to claim it as a win, and that's going to be important to him. It's going to be more important as he goes back to British Superbike racing, because he hasn't had one of these for a while. He's not seen the checkered flag for some time, except further down the field. Hillier then, he's going to fight on, but it's going to be Josh Brooks as he comes to the final chicane, makes it through there nice and smooth. We know Hillier's got grunt out of here, but he won't be enough to beat him to the flag. It's going to be Josh Brooks that wins the race, but James Hillier and George Thomas are going to win on the aggregate here for the Barry Sheene Memorial. A fastest lap of 1 minute 30.589 for Josh Brooks on that final lap. It will be Brooks that picks up the Mick Hemmings trophy for the fastest lap. It's absolutely outstanding.
He's had to ride the entire race on that big Vincent like it is a dirt track. You know, really quite upright, elbows out, shoulders. He's using the upper body to wrestle it round. On the final lap though, he was tucked down like it was an 80cc bike, and he had to get out of the airstream.
We're waiting for Brogy to come to the line. Baywatch Brogan will be making it to the line, should be in third place at the moment. This is barring any penalties that have been awarded. We're going to be keeping an eye out for them, because we saw quite a lot of penalties arriving because of infringements in pit lane yesterday. Here comes the number 12 machine. Over the line he goes.
Your third place man.
Well, that's a long way back. But Steve Brogan, Baywatch Brogan as he's known, he's got a bit more bark on him nowadays, but he's still fast as you like, and runs a race school. So anybody who wants a bit of tuition, Baywatch is your man.
Wow, just off the podium in fourth, Eugene Laverty and Herbert Schwab. That's a pretty impressive result from them.
Eugene needed that as well. He's retiring at the end of this year from racing professional motorcycles. So Eugene Laverty, maybe he'll come back a little bit later.
Oh, right, because who's not going to ask him?
Indeed. So number 11 then of Eugene Laverty comes over the line, no doubt about it. Josh Brooks, though, was the fastest man on this track this day, and as he was yesterday in leg 1. The Aussie enjoying his time. You might be right, you know, the old dirt tracking style might just suit him. If you speak to Casey Stoner or any of the quick Aussies that come here, they do a lot of stuff in the bush and the like, and it just makes it work for them. More on the back brake. He will have had to have used engine braking and the back brake more than perhaps you would do it just about anywhere else. Front brake not working. There is that Hillier being dragged around? No, it is Hillier driving, but I'm just trying to work out who's got on the back there at the moment.
Yeah, not sure.
So
there is your winner on aggregate. The number 17 bike that was quickest in qualifying won the first leg of the Barry Sheene Memorial Trophy. It was the bike owned by George Thomas, James Hillier, the star rider. So James coming back in. Yesterday, it was the pros that started and the owners who took over for the second part of the race. Today, the owners had to do the legwork across the track from the Le Mans start, and then they put their pros in. And in the case, certainly, of that matchless, George Thomas brought it in the moment he could, the moment the pit lane window opened, to hand over to James Hillier. Listen, if you've got one stronger rider in your armoury, that's the one you want in as early as possible.
So, as the bikes come back in, these guys know how to party, they know how to race, they know how to enjoy the real essence of the Goodwood Revival. It means such a lot to them. All the pro riders here, they come back year after year if invited, and the Duke of Richmond puts on a fantastic event. And I have to say, the waiting list, if ever there was one, the exclusive waiting list, would be oversubscribed somewhat.
Now then, here is the overall aggregate result. Hillier and Thomas the winners, and Hillier and Thomas the winners, and that gives them a very handy 13-second advantage. Again, they didn't finish first in the second race, but they had a handy advantage in the first. So Brooks and Kingham with a win as well. So the Matchless took race 1, the Vincent Black Shadow took race 2, and Bain and Brogan on aggregate finishing in 3rd place.
That's a great finish for them, you know, the two, Bain and Brogan. I mean, Bain's son finished 4th in the Setrington Cup.
Yep.
And so now Dad's just gone one better.
So 3 different machines in the top 3. The Matchless, the Vincent and the Norton International. First Manx Norton, the Clues and Hickman machine in 4th place overall on the aggregate result, ahead of the blown BMW of Eugene Laverty and Herbert Schwab. And again, I think they ought to get special bravery medals for riding those hard tail BMWs.
Especially when they've not ridden them much before. Scott Smart, worth mentioning that Scott Smart, nephew of course of Barry Sheene himself, that finished in the 5th place as well. So that's pretty important as far as he's concerned. He's also an FIM technical director now, delegate I should say. So Scott Smart can still ride a motorcycle pretty well. Let's go down to Ed then in pit lane and hear the latest from them.
Steve Brogan, Ian Bain, what a cracking ride. Steve, did you know that you were on the podium in those final laps?
Yes, my team were good enough giving me pit board signals every lap, so I knew exactly what position we were in. But unlike yesterday's race, it was a very lonely race out there by myself. But yesterday's race with the antics from some of the other guys definitely made up for it. But I still enjoyed it, and I'm very grateful to Ian Bain, my teammate, for giving me such an amazing opportunity to be here to race in front of many fans and enjoy this lovely bike, the Manx Norton.
Ian, success in the Setrington Cup, and you've gone one better now.
Yeah, it's quite embarrassing actually, because over the last 3 years my 2 children have won far more garlands than me. Well, this is the first one I've won for quite a while, to be honest, but my kids seem to have 5, so I'm catching back up a bit now, thank God.
Well, a cracking ride, well done guys. That's fine, 2nd place George Thomas, James Hillier. Sorry, go on, I'm going to squeeze in here. George, what a start. I mean, it was a hectic first few laps.
Yes, it was, yeah. Mike Russell keep me on my toes for sure here, riding very hard. Yeah, it was just a good, excellent race really, yeah. And watching James and Brooks on the last lap, I couldn't watch it.
James, you're the overall winners. You're going to want to go back to the BSB for a bit of a break after that.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I really, you probably tell by the smile, I enjoyed that. It I don't know, just screwed the last turn a little bit. I felt I got a good run, and I think the only gear I missed all race was that last run to the line. It would have been, I could see Josh was struggling running out the chicane. I thought that's where we could get him maybe, but yeah, good, you know, another great day at Goodwood.
Well done guys for the overall win. Now first in this race, Ben Kingham, Josh Brooks. Josh, why don't we start with you? Josh, some ride at the end. This thing's got a bit of grunt, hasn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is fast, but you know, the bike come into the pits and we were in a good position. That made all the difference, you know. So yeah, I took the bike and got set off after James, and I don't know if James had problems or whatever, because in the first race he was gone, and then in that race I could see we're just slightly catching back, and had Michael right behind me until the end there. I don't know what happened to him, but he disappeared. But then it was just a 2-horse race, so to speak, and once I got in front of James, I sort of you know, I knew he was going to, well, I expected him to try and make a challenge in the last closing corners, but fortunately we just got a little bit of breathing space and brought it home for the win. So yeah, great job by the team. The bike ran perfectly, and yeah, I'm thrilled.
Well done, Ben. Come on in here. What an opening stint you had.
Yeah, that was good fun. Yeah, I thought they were quicker than they were yesterday, but we were all quite close, and just started to get the legs on them down the straight, and managed to sort of stay with them for a couple of laps. Then we got past, so to bring it in like in the lead was really handy for the changeover. So he's got something to work with, chasing James. So yeah, it was Great race to watch, I should think. I'll watch it later.
Well done, guys.